Two, one. Hello and happy Friday, everybody. So today it's a bittersweet day. Today is the final episode of season 2 of the Open Heart Collective. This season has been a bit of a tumultuous one with scheduling and technological mishaps and the like. But I am absolutely honored and beyond pleased to have my final guest of season 2 be my dear friend, Audrey Boyle. I won't ruin the introduction, so I will let her introduce herself. And then we will get into this conversation. Surprise.
Surprise. Hi, everyone. My name's Audrey Boyle, and I am a mom. That is my jam. I'm a mom comedian, more importantly. So I think my why is that I really want to make moms laugh. I want to make people laugh. I want to make moms laugh. Because I think laughter is everything when it comes to this hustle. So,
Okay, so if you're tuning in and you're like, I don't know what the hell you guys are talking about. This is the first time I decided to tune in. Ryan, who the fuck are you? All of those types of things. So this is a show I started about 7 months ago now. It's a show where we have an open, raw, real, live look at mental health from people and the stories that they've lived. Because, my friends, we live in a world where it's always about the hustle, right? It's about being proactive. It's about being on the go. It's about doing things like my boy Todd here just tuned in on Instagram. It's about doing things. But yet the one thing that we're not proactive about, the one thing that we're not on the hustle for, the one thing that we're just generally not talking about is our own mental health and the mental health of the people in the communities around us. And yes, that means these digital communities too. We need to talk about it more. So I figured if nobody's going to talk about it, my voice is pretty loud and I'm going to start. So I started this show, like I said, 7 months ago, and I've had the distinct pleasure of speaking to a myriad of guests since then. I'm hearing in the loop on Facebook.
Okay. Let me work this out. Technical difficulties always. Okay.
All right, we should be good.
Yeah,
all right,
we're good.
Audio, everybody. Anyways, so I've gotten down to a single formula in this show. We're going to talk 3 separate things all around Audrey's story. So the first is going to be the struggle. Like, I want to know the backstory. I want to know everything that's gone on. Second, I want to know specifically what were the obstacles you had to overcome and how you overcame them. Number 2. And number 3, last but not least, what's going on and what's exciting in your world right now. Because in stories about mental health, we can't just talk about the bad times, right? We've got to talk about the positive and what happens when you move through those dark times. Because there's too much fucking darkness in the world and we need to add some light. So, that being said, Audrey.
Yes.
Know your story.
My story. I like to say when I am thinking about the bad times is that, there's that saying, when one door opens, another door. Oh, wait, when one door closes, another door opens.
Right.
You know that saying? But the hallway is a bitch. The hallway is a bitch. And most people spend a lot of time in the hallway. I have spent a lot of time in the hallway. Spend a lot of time. It's dark, it's cold, it's drafty, and you don't know, like, is there a door close or is it really far away? And you don't have any idea what to do. So
Right.
So my story,
yep. We got it. We got 51 minutes left, so let's rock this
51 minutes left. Okay, where to start? A few years ago, I'm a professor. I teach marketing, and at the time I taught a lot of marketing classes.
Right.
And I had a really good friend of mine. She actually was, my daughter and her daughter were best friends. And we would go to each other's birthday parties. We spent a lot of time together. And I realized that she was doing everything. Like, she was one of those moms who are like, I kind of want her to do some stuff for me. Like, everything was perfect. And she found out she had stage 4 breast cancer.
Oh, wow.
And from like 6 weeks after she found out, she was gone. And it was one of those huge wake-up calls because at the time I had very young children. I was just about to have another baby. And I realized, like, okay, you know, moms need to enjoy their lives more. Like, I wasn't enjoying the whole part of being a mom. I was just hustling around, like seeing what I could do and trying to figure out like how to not kill them, right? I wanted to just wanted them to survive. And so I was just surviving. And I realized that it's important for moms to laugh. It's very important for us to enjoy the whole process of what we go through. And so I started sending, well, I would find jokes online, like at memes. So moms love memes, and I would find different memes online, and I would send it to my friends. I would text message it to them. And then I ran out of those, and I thought, okay, well, why don't I start writing, you know, writing little things that I think are really funny. And I would send those out. And a lot of my friends were like, wow, this is really good. This is funny. I like it. And they would actually say, give me feedback that it was funny. And I wanted to get more into social media. And I thought, well, how do I get more into social media? I don't know. At the time, people were not looking at social media marketing as a thing. Like, it was just a fun thing that nobody really considered it. This was about 5 years ago.
I just wanted to give context.
Yeah, 5 years ago, it was not a thing. And I thought, okay, what can I do? And a colleague of mine was like, you should start your own following. I get your jokes. They're funny. You know, you're doing some funny things. Like, start your own Facebook page. And that's when I started Mom Funnies. And I started posting different jokes. And it just kind of blew up from there. And I realized that moms we need to laugh. We need to have relatable content that makes us feel as if we're not alone, and that other people are in our shoes, and that this is funny, and this is a funny side of life. You know, when your kid poops all over the floor and you haven't had any sleep, and you have spit up all over you, you need to laugh about it, because then, you know, it keeps you happy and engaged and not able to just break down, you know, so we're not alone.
Preach.
So
and that goes to people in general, right? We're all not alone, whether you're a parent, you're not a parent, wherever you come from in the world, like, you're seriously not alone. I don't know how many times I will have to reiterate that over the course of my life, but I have a feeling it's going to be a lot. Anyways, continue.
Yes, you're not alone. And that is the number one thing that I wanted, especially my audience of moms, to realize that. And just anything I can do to make them smile, put a smile on their face. I mean, I stop people at parks, I chase them around, I try to tell them jokes, like anything to make them happy. That is my why.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
So my story is, I just continue to do that. I just continue to make content. Whatever it occurred to me, like, I'm just putting out memes. And if I could shoot a short video, I'd shoot a short video. It was all very willy-nilly, because it was just like trying to get my content out there. But I built a good following. I mean, I seem to have it's very receptive following of people who are supportive of me. Thank you so much.
Right.
And from there, it just kind of it's been great. And I think that it's important for everyone to laugh. I mean, not even just moms. It's important for everyone to laugh and really enjoy their lives and step out of hustle mode. So.
But we like hustle mode so much.
We like hustle mode. We're predetermined to like hustle mode. I feel like
we aren't all at the same time.
We are, and we aren't. So, I mean, okay, so my thought on hustle mode is that, especially if you went to college, you kind of get into a hustle mode mentality, because it's, okay, I'm gonna, you know, if I do this, if I stay up all night and study for this test, and I go to work all day, and I can pay my bills, and I'll be okay for this day, for this week, for this month. And we get really short-sighted in our thinking. And we think like, okay, we'll just keep hustling, keep rushing around. We'll stop taking care of ourselves because we have this end date, and then we'll do all of that stuff. You know, it's always like, okay, at the end of this, we'll do that.
Right.
And things happen, like life events happen in between, you know, in the middle of all of this going on. So we get into hustle mode, and then it's hard for us to think big picture of like, okay, what about the next 5 years? You know, how do I take care of myself for the next 10 years or 20 years or 50 years with my life?
Right. I love the last 5 year recap, but I kind of want to go back deeper.
Okay.
Because everybody has a story in what's gotten them to here. And anybody who's paid attention to this show since the beginning has heard my story, so I'm not going to go into it. But what we're let's go from like childhood to now. I'm really intrigued because we've talked about, you and I personally in our private conversations have talked about the last 5 years, right, and what we want from the future and all that. But like, I don't really know much past that period.
Okay. Does
that make sense?
Yes, I guess so. I guess I felt like I was reborn when I was a mother, and like I had to realign everything that I did.
Well, yeah, that's absolutely a definitive fact, because I mean, being a dad myself, everything changed.
Yes.
Everything.
So who I was changed, who I wanted to be changed. It was just a big change in general. How I was born. Okay, so I'm my parents are from Ghana, Africa. So I am first generation Ghanaian. And I was raised, my brother and sister were born over in Ghana. Okay. I was born here and raised here. So we had a really strong backbone of family. It was all about being together. And I think that a lot of things, it's just all about education. And that was my foundation in my life. So education.
Is that what led you to become a professor?
It is actually, because eternal learning is my jam. It's where I'm at. And that is generally like the importance of education was really stressed on me from a very early age. Right.
So were you always a high achiever? I have a feeling you were.
I don't know. I guess so. Yeah. I mean, I've always strived to be the best. And I guess when you are raised by immigrants and they come to a new country and they want to make a difference, and you see their hustle and their entrepreneurial spirit and the way they are able to create something from nothing, right? It really affected me. So
this conversation is very reminiscent to me of a conversation I had earlier this season with Michelle Cerna, and she's like, I think she's 20 years old, ridiculously young for what she's accomplished in the world. But her attitude and ethos are very similar to you. Like, does a lot of work. She does a lot of work with TED, does a lot of work in the educational sphere, and just from childhood is an immigrant, had that immigrant culture, that education focus, and is just always been a high achiever. Yes. And I see a lot of similarities between your stories. Anyways, sorry, I had to interject that real quick.
Yeah, I should meet her. She sounds pretty awesome.
I met her actually down in South Carolina when I was down there for SMADCon. Okay. And man, dynamic speaker too. Anyways, sorry, I digress. You guys can check out an earlier episode about that. But so childhood, growing up, was a lot of focus around education, always learning, but there had to have been difficulties. I mean, I'm trying to like dive deeper in this. So
to difficulties, I would say it was pretty much smooth sailing for me for the most part until I got into college. For the most part, because I tended to do pretty well school-wise, and it was never incredibly difficult for me. And I had a really good friend base, support base, and everything. But then whenever I got in college, it definitely wasn't as easy. Yeah, it all changed. I mean, I suffered from a lot of anxiety. What am I going to do with my life? Where am I going in life? Definitely.
I think we've all suffered with that a bit from time to time.
Yes.
If you haven't, you're not human. And I want to talk to you to figure out how you became a robot.
Right. Absolutely.
Anyways, so what made it difficult in college?
I had a double major. I studied abroad for a year in France. And when I came back from my study abroad and just really my worlds kind of collided with what I was doing here and in college, and trying to graduate and find a career and move out on my own and all of that adulting, that definitely caused a lot of anxiety. Mm-hmm. The prospect of adulting. Yeah, the prospect of adulting is for real. For real, for real. And it was back in a time when, I mean, now, kids now, they have to decide what they want to do now, you know, from an early age. Like, at least when I was in college, you could be undecided for a little bit and kind of wander around and take some gen eds and things like that. But now, like with college, you have to make a concentrated effort on like what you're going to do right away.
Right.
So.
And that's why college scares me. I mean, I come from a strong family academia background. Like my grandfather was a professor, my grandmother worked in school, was an educator. I mean, but I didn't continue that trend. And like, but it's interesting because now you and I mean, we're in a similar space, and we took two different journeys to get there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't have a college degree hanging up on the wall. I'm also not strapped with a boatload of college debt either. So, or a boatload of student loans. So, I mean, it varies. It varies, but
it varies because college was amazing. I loved college and I love teaching college students. I think that just for me personally, like, I think that it's all about critical thinking skills when you're in college. It's all about you in high school and junior high, it's all about remembering, cramming information, taking a test. But in college, it's remembering and then getting to the point where you start to create ideas. And so hopefully, you know, that's the job of a college professor to do with their students. I feel like it is very hard because there is little to no structure when it comes to college. And a lot of students are not able to see the connection as to what you're actually learning and how it's going to help them in their adult lives. So it makes it harder for
amplified high school.
Yeah. What was it?
I said amplified high school.
Amplified high school, sort of.
Right, because there's always that, I don't know where I'm going. Like what is trigonometry going to do for me once I get into like the real life? All that kind of stuff.
Yes. Yeah. But they expect you to think through the concepts and not necessarily just remember it. Right. So, yeah, I mean, yeah. Anyways, yeah, I'm a big fan of college. You know that. We know that.
Hey, I'm a big fan of education and knowledge.
Okay, that's fair.
However you consume it.
Awesome.
That's what because not everybody's cut out for college, and I get that.
True.
Like,
true.
If you had to put me into now I could go and I would be speaking. But I can't be. That's not how I learn. I learn just by practical application. And I mean, that's what's gotten me to the point where I've now done over 300 videos. I'm now hosting this show. I'm having these conversations. 3 years ago, you wouldn't call me dead on camera.
So you learn by doing applied science. Right. Absolutely. So it's looking at kinesthetic programs for you. So you need to be able to, almost like somebody draws a play for you and then you go and you execute that play, like in basketball or football or something like that. That's how you learn what you learn. And like being able to determine as quickly as possible the best way for you to learn is helpful for you in any education that you do.
Right. So let's talk about the struggles. We got the story, right? I want to know what maybe a couple or what those specific obstacles you had to overcome were and what you did to overcome them.
I really asked for help. I think that there is so much importance in actually verbalizing, hey, I need help.
Help in what?
Just when I was suffering from anxiety, when I was stressed out, when I was, I'm having a panic attack, I am worried about this or whatever, being able to say, hey, I need help is big. And I remember in college, because I was suffering from lots of anxiety and I was really worried and I was stressed out and I wasn't sleeping. I went through like crazy insomnia. I still don't sleep very well in general. And I remember calling my mom and talking to my mom and my dad and being like, I don't know what to do. I'm really stressed out. And actually just telling them like, hey, I need help. I need to have someone to talk to.
Right.
And from there, it's just like the pressure kind of just came off of me because it was all inside my head. And once I got it outside of my head, it just made it so much easier.
Think about that, guys. Like we put so much pressure on ourselves. We hold so much in here because we're like, oh shit, nobody outside is going to understand what's going on in here because what's going on in here is fucking crazy, right? But then when you actually are allowed to like release a little bit of that pressure and by talking about it, things tend to get brought into perspective and you're able to objectively see how to work through it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think that, I mean, I know I keep coming back to the mom thing, but I think it is definitely important for moms to have that, to know they're not alone and be able to talk and articulate, like, this is what's going on. Like, just even to, I remember the first time I went and I did, I spoke in front of a crowd of people. And I did this, I thought I did like a great presentation. I was like, oh, I rocked it. You know, I came out and I looked in the mirror and I had spit up like all over what I was wearing. And I just remember just telling that story and having people laugh made me laugh and made it lighthearted and something that would have been so just, could have been horrified and kept all of that inside my head. And I realized that for moms, like being able to say like, hey, this is what's going on. Hey, this is what's going on is very important. That is why there is so many mom bloggers out there. I mean, I think there is 9 million mom bloggers in North America.
I'm really curious to know what the number of dad bloggers is.
I don't know. You need to look it up.
It's substantially smaller than that.
Substantially smaller. Substantially. And there's a reason moms need to talk about what they're doing and their experience and this is what's happening so much. Right. And it's so much more, it's helpful to them and keeps them from having, when the dark times when you think like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? Like, there's no manual to being a mom, right? So it's important to have help and have people that can relate to your experiences.
Yeah. Because I mean, relatability is an important factor in mental health.
Yes.
And I mean, if we feel like if we relate to somebody, like I relate to you, even though I'm not a mom, I mean, I'm a parent, but, and we're running in similar tracks as far as professionalism goes. And we're both content creators and all of those types of things. But so there's relatableness, even though we're doing completely different things.
Yes.
And I think that is an important thing for people to understand, especially as it relates to mental health in social media, because so many of us, man, if I could tell you guys the number of times that I've experienced people with, well, if I could do what Gary Vaynerchuk would do, like I would, I understand that you guys want to relate to people like that, but keep in mind, if you had $100 million business and 800 people working for you, you could do really amazing things too. But that doesn't mean that if you're one person by yourself that you can't do amazing things. But you just have to understand that your amazing things are different from everybody else's.
I agree. So if you ever have, I mean, this is my thought, and this is something that I had to realize for myself. Right. So if you ever call up a friend and you're so excited about something great happened to you in your life, and you say, oh my gosh, this happened. And their response is, okay, like it's really flat, or it's, they turn it around to themselves and they start talking about themselves. And you realize that it's not about you, it's about them. So then whatever you're so excited about just kind of goes like flatter and flatter, right?
Right.
So it's the same with social media. If you post something and you're so excited, whatever, and whatever response you get back, it could not be about you. It's about them and where they are in their lives. And so being able to have like a few people that you can always like tell, hey, this happened, and they're just, congratulations, that's amazing, is very important.
Or conversely, you do something stupid and they're the first group of people to say you're being a fucking idiot.
Well.
But I mean, you have to have that too, because if you have people who are always praising you, even when the actions aren't quite the best, that's not a good thing either.
Well, in a constructive way, for sure.
Right. I mean,
Absolutely.
I wasn't saying it just to be like a vague, you're being an idiot. It was because of obviously constructive, like you're making a bad decision here. Like you need to redirect your course of action.
Yes.
So,
And many people have such personas online that you don't necessarily know what's going on. And so being
right.
able to figure out, like, okay, maybe I need to reach out to this person in real life, you know, call them or
Call
text
somebody.
them, you know, actually have a conversation. Having real conversations with people is important.
Right. This came up in a prior episode and seems fitting based on what you just mentioned. When was the last time we actually called or met up with somebody and just talked for an hour? Where it
Me
was you
or
and
you?
everybody listening, like,
Yes.
when was the last time? I mean, where we weren't buried in technology, where we were actually engaged in this conversation.
I try to do it every day, especially with my children. I
Right.
try to be present with my children and without technology every day.
Right.
Because that's kind of what it's all for, right? You know, it's like, this is why you do it.
right.
For sure.
And the reason why it came up is because it was like that within this type of conversation, right? We're getting to know each other better. We just happen to be doing it in front of however many people decide to watch this.
Right.
And that's how we humanize content. That's how we can hopefully steer the course of how we look at social media going forward. We can use these tools to create amazing connections that hopefully help people.
Yes.
And that's what I mean, that's personally a mission.
Be real and be authentic, be yourself. It's exhausting to try to have some persona. And it doesn't work, really. Nope. It comes off. It doesn't work. So.
Yep. So how did you overcome those struggles with anxiety? And you said you asked for help, but anything more than that?
Yeah, I started meditating quite often. I started looking at my diet. I just really went into thinking about myself and really working on myself. Right. And so I thought that was really important. And I had the time to do it because I didn't have kids. So.
All right. So then we fast forward. Now you're a mom. Now you're a professor. Now you're a branding expert. Like, now how? Obviously, our life is full of anxiety and stressors. Like, what are you doing now as that busy human being, that mom, that professor, that professional, that gets you past those anxious moments?
What helps me is making other people laugh. That is like why. If I do that, then I always feel better. It always like lifts whatever I have going on. But that's just me. That's how I get through all of my anxiety, everything.
That's a good thing to do. I mean, I wish I had that superpower. Unfortunately, that's not mine. It's yours.
One of those things where I'm making jokes at a funeral because that's just how I'm crying through my pain generally.
I'm just gonna bring you to every single funeral I ever have to go to right now, from now for however long, because I'm an emotional mess. But how I handle it is I walk through it. Because of all of my experiences, I'm uniquely developed to be able to handle that kind of pain and move past and allow that, okay, that emotion, I have to acknowledge it. And then I just go, and I'm able to compartmentalize. So compartmentalizing is mine while yours is sharing humor.
Yes.
And that, again, another proof that you can do the same thing by doing different things.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
Knowing that what works for you is not going to work for me and vice versa.
Absolutely.
So we're a little past the halfway mark, and before we get into talking about
already,
this is why the show is an hour long. This is why the show is an hour long, because 15 minutes, half hour just doesn't cut it. Anyways,
okay.
And Instagram only allows us to run for an hour, which is another reason why it's capped at an hour.
Okay, all right. I see Instagram. Whatever.
Right. But I want to take a couple brief moments here to mention that if you are a person and you're watching this or you're listening to this after the fact and you're struggling with anything around mental health, there are limitless resources available to you. Now, the problem with a lot of those limitless resources is they're on this fancy thing called Google. And try typing in depression and not getting overly anxious, looking at the number of search results for depression simply in Chicago or Romania, or like I saw somebody from Romania popped in on Instagram, or New York or Louisville, Kentucky. You're going to get inundated with information.
Yes.
And then because of the anxiety, you're not going to make a decision, right? Because 4 million options is too many options.
Yes.
So one of the missions of this show next year is we're bringing it into real life. We're actually bringing all of these resources available to you at your fingertips, where you already are anyways.
It's awesome.
Now, that means we're going to need everybody's help to make this work, because I can't be in Chicago, Rockford, New York, Romania, Australia, all these different places where everybody needs help, because this mental health is not just an American issue. This is an issue in every country on the planet, and we need to unify to change the problem. I mean, the UK, the largest killer of men under the age of 30 is suicide. Like,
yes,
that's a depressing statistic. Hell, in the county that's adjacent to the one that I live in right now, as of the end of August, we had 39 suicides.
It's horrible.
In one county, in one state, that was 39. That's not to count the Chester Benningtons, Chris Cornells, Anthony Bourdains of the world that we read about. These are the people we don't read about.
Yes.
This is a problem, and it's going to take us to change it. There's no legislation that's going to fix this. We're going to have to fix it. But that means we have to create safe places for people to share their stories.
Yes.
We need to create safe places for people to go to when they're feeling vulnerable. I want to help with that. So as I take the rest of this month off and moving forward throughout the rest of the year and into next year, I'm doing what I'm calling, or what's being coined as, office hours sessions, where I'm going to host a Zoom call. It's not going to be publicly broadcast anywhere. But if you're feeling like you're struggling and you want somebody to listen, or help, you want to talk, or you want to be a person to listen to other people, this room will be available to you. Now I'm going to start I'm going to start promoting this next week. I'm going to do it twice throughout the month of month of October. And then, so basically twice a month I'm doing this on top of these videos, because we need to have conversations and we need to create those safe places. And then inevitably, we're going to work this into a live in-person type of an event. That's further down the road. But in the meantime, if you are a person who is struggling, I make myself available to each and every one of people who are struggling. And the way that you can do that is right on Instagram. So if you're on Facebook or you're listening to this after the fact and you want to reach out, my literal cell phone number is in my Instagram profile. Reach out, send a message. I'm sure Audrey will accept messages and stuff too. But
Absolutely.
We want to create this culture of allowing people to be vulnerable and developing safety, because that's how we change and break the stigma. I don't want to read about these stories anymore. I don't want to get the DMs about, I just found that, like, these messages and the phone calls and everything that I've gotten have been so sad and disheartening. But the only thing that would fix it is if we talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it might not fix it permanently. It might not take away the sting forever, but it'll get the conversation started.
Start the conversation. We all have things that we are anxious or worried or nervous or just
right.
Life comes at us so quickly. it's just flying by, and we barely have any time to stop and think and really absorb and be in the present a moment. So just, yes, absolutely.
So point being, if you need help or you know someone who needs help, please reach out. And if not to us, find somebody to reach out to. I know that you're not alone. We've been where you are. And the mission, the entirety of the mission of the show is my story might not help you, but your story is going to help someone else. So let's actually bring light and positivity and change this fucking world, because it's on us to do it.
Yes.
So anyways, now we're getting into the back half of the conversation. And this is the part where I want to talk about what are the exciting things happening in your world. Because again, in any mental health space, if we're having a conversation, we cannot, and I repeat, cannot just talk about the bad times. We can't talk about the darkness. We can't just talk about the struggles. We have to talk about what we've done to overcome them and what now is happening in our world that's exciting.
Okay.
Because that's what people need to look up to.
Okay. So you want to know what's going on in my life that's exciting?
Oh, I mean, I already know a little bit because, I mean, we're friends outside of this particular series. But yes, I want myself and everybody else watching this to know.
So I just booked this bomb gig where I'm doing a podcast with my friend Ryan Block on Open Heart Collective.
Now that people already know about that because they're listening or watching right now.
So that was a high point, definitely.
All right, fair enough. I appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm packaging for a TV show right now with my mom comedy. So I have been doing YouTube videos and memes and jokes for quite some time, and we have taken this whole entire concept and turned it into what we hope is a great TV show for moms and family-friendly content for anyone who has a mom, knows a mom,
is a mom.
So pretty much everyone is a mom, all the above.
Please tell me this launches on Mother's Day, because that would just be freaking amazing.
Ooh, that would be good, right?
Just saying.
It would be.
I mean, this is why you keep me around. I'm that idea person.
I know, you're that guy. I'm like, wait, that's a good one.
So that's amazing. A television show. Like, think about this, guys. That anxious college student turned college professor turned comedian, still a college professor, is now doing a television show.
Yes.
You can literally do anything if you put your mind to it and you focus on what it takes to get there. And that's true. And that includes getting healthy. Like, that is so important. You mentioned meditation, you mentioned focusing on diet, as those were all critical facets of you allowing to move through those anxious times and getting into where you are now. Man, I wish I would have figured that out sooner. I mean, shit.
Well, it depends on when you kind of hit rock bottom, right? It depends on when you get to where you're like, oh my God, there's got to be an up. And then you jinx yourself and you go like 3 steps lower than that. And then finally you start to climb out. So,
I mean, I'm generally a healthy person, but my wife and I were at a wedding in July out in Montana. Beautiful state. If you guys have never been, I love it out there.
Yeah,
I love mountains. So I was like in heaven out there. Anyways, and we took a photo, and I looked at the photo. I'm like, wait a second, guys, that's not me, because I was pushing 240 pounds in that photo. And I mean, I'm a big guy anyways. I'm 6'2", so I'm just generally a big person, but I did not like how I looked. And I knew that was plaguing here, and that was plaguing here, and that was plaguing on my spiritual level too. So I said, all right, I'm going to change it. And then I went to South Carolina and spoke, and I saw another photo. I'm like, God, that's really not me.
You're like, nah.
I mean, it was a really great photo. It's one of my favorite photos, but I'm like, I don't like how I look. And then I went back over a couple of other things from a speech I did in July or June. I'm like, God, I don't like how I look. So I had to change it. But I'm not just change. I can't just change on the physical level, right? You got to change here, you got to change here, and then you got to change the spiritual too. And so Mission 35 was started.
Okay.
Mission 35 is fun. I turned 35 in, what the hell day is today? In 16 days.
Oh, whatever. I'm just saying 35 is a great age. That's a good one.
It is, but it's about to get even better. So I said, all right, my objective is to be in the best health, not just physically, but also mentally, spiritually, and emotionally.
That's a tall order.
By 35. So,
whoa. Okay.
A lot of work, right? So I got back into I dove head first. I went keto. I'm down nearly 20 pounds. I've run since July 20th, a cumulative total of about 85 to 90 miles. I work out consistently. I'm eating better, but not only that, these shows, everybody's like, man, you guys, you have so much going on. Why do you do these shows? Because these shows are cathartic for me.
Mm-hmm.
This is my therapy, right? I love being a vessel for stories. Like this is better than any therapy in the world for me. But that's just me. And then spiritually, like I was ignoring faith for so long, and it came back to bite me in the ass on more than one occasion. So I said, all right, I'm back. And since then, it's like everything has been not 100% clearer, but definitively clearer than it was 6 months ago. And
you're better.
I am. And I might not be like the best shape of my life. Like I don't have a six-pack yet. Working on it. That's like by end of year will be the six-pack. But like I don't want to be 35. I mean, I want to be 35 because I'm going to do amazing things in this year, but I don't want to feel like I'm 35. Right?
Okay.
So because you always want to have that energy because I want to run around with my kids. I don't want to get winded. I want to be able to, if they want to say, all right, I want to do a ninja competition, I want to be able to do it with them. And I did that. And I beat myself up literally. But it was fun. So, anyways,
that's amazing. Because
I
am not that put together at all. Like I'm not even remotely doing any of the things that you talked about. So,
but everybody's different. Everybody has their ways that they've got to work through things. Then it's about having the focus and the dedication to whatever it is that works for you. Because what works for me will not work for you. It might inspire you, but it won't work for you because you're not me and I'm not you. I like that. But the long and short of it, guys, is it's on you to change you. People will help, but it's on you. So lift yourself up, dust yourself off, do what needs to get done to get you to where you need to be.
It's about you.
It is. That's the entire
personal care, or really self-love. Talk back to your internal critic, just always work on being selfish. I mean, being selfish is okay to some extent.
To an extent, it is like,
yeah. Yes, being a little selfish sometimes when it comes to taking care of yourself, for sure.
Right.
And knowing that you maybe don't need certain relationships that are toxic to you, or work environments that are toxic to you, or friends that are toxic to you, and keep it moving.
Amen to that. I mean, guys, I did not expect this show to become what it's become when I started it out. I mean, hell, I was only going to do a month of it, and it's become now 7. And it's not necessarily, now that we're in, I'm like, now I can see this thing becoming something amazing.
Yes.
But it's not going to become amazing because of me. It's going to become amazing because of each and every one of you.
Mm-hmm.
And our ability from these conversations to actually go out and in real life, apply what we learn to making it a better place. So a couple of things that I want to mention as we get ready to wrap, and I'm so sad that this is the end of season 2. I mean, but we'll come back in a couple weeks, and we'll be ready and better and stronger, with a little bit more details and a little bit more process. But I say that for my own sanity. So as we get ready to wrap up in the next 10 minutes here, Audrey, tell the lovely people, where's the best place for them to find you and reach out and connect?
I am, the name of my TV show is Mom Funnies. Audrey Boyle. I'm Audrey Boyle pretty much everywhere. So if you go Mom
Except
Funnies.
Instagram. On Instagram, it's not Audrey Boyle.
Not Audrey Boyle, but it'll still come up if you type in Audrey Boyle.
Right.
So
right.
We're good.
And then
reach out, especially if most of my humor is involving mom humor. I also do a lot of other things on Instagram that's not necessarily just for moms. So if you need a laugh, reach out for sure, because we
all need a laugh.
I want to do.
Let's just get that out in the open. We all need to laugh more.
We all need to laugh. You're having a crazy day or a rough day, definitely.
And I've never asked this question of anybody on the show.
Ooh.
So far. So, it's fresh in my mind, so that's why I'm asking you.
Okay.
I want to know, what's a guilty pleasure? What do you do for yourself when you're having a rough day?
When I write jokes. I write jokes when I'm having a bad day.
Do you watch anything funny? Do you go to YouTube and is it cat videos or what is it?
What is the weird guilty pleasure that I like to do besides stress eating, going and just grazing aimlessly in my pantry?
I mean, that could be one, but
maybe taking some drinks, have a drink, just relax, spend time with my family. Because then I realize, okay, this is why I do all of this.
Right.
I'm trying to think of what I do. I generally try to make light of whatever happened. So that's how I deal with it, is let me just write a few jokes as to what really happened today and make light of it so that I can put it in the right frame of mind. And so I end up thinking okay, it's good. And I can do it all again tomorrow. So
right.
I'm trying to think of what other guilty pleasure.
Here's mine.
I love candy corns. Oh my gosh. I'm filling my prescription.
I can't get in on those, right? I
love candy corns though. This is the time of year where they're
carbs,
everywhere.
Though, man. I can't do that. I can't eat that.
Either you're in or you're out with the candy corns. And yes.
And I can only eat for 8 hours a day on top of it.
No, I could eat them all day long.
I know, but I'm saying I personally can only eat between 12 and 8.
The day?
The day. So from 8 p.m. until 12 the next day, I don't eat.
Okay. All right. That's one way to do it.
The joys of intermittent fasting, everybody.
Hey, sure.
My guilty pleasure, and the reason why I came up with or mentioned this and why I was on the fresh of my mind, and I used to do this frequently, now not so much, but I love gaming videos on YouTube. It's just the humor that those guys put out sometimes is just absolutely side-splitting funny to me. But that's just me. And I happened to catch one this afternoon because I had it up in my office when I was working on documents, and it just was okay, I needed that laugh today.
Oh, so your question is, what do you do when you need to compress?
Yeah, what's that guilty pleasure? Right.
I like to dance in the bathroom.
There you go. That was the type of answer I was looking for.
Oh yeah, lots of dancing in the bathroom. This is me. Yes. If you had a camera, it would not be pretty. A lot of dancing in the bathroom.
I love it. All right, guys. So we're saying goodbye to season 2. This episode here, so episode number 32, as well as Tuesday's episode with Faye Cullen, amazing 20-year-old human being out of the UK, will be available in perpetuity on Facebook. So Facebook, these videos last until Facebook decides to get rid of me. Instagram, unfortunately, this video will say sayonara in about 24 hours from now. But don't worry, because on top of Facebook, this video will also be available on YouTube on Sunday night, as well as in an audio form version on the Open Heart Collective audio experience, available pretty much anywhere podcasts are heard. So whether that be Spotify, Apple, whatever. But moving forward into season 3, I'm going to push really heavily for this because, and this is something you alluded to in inspiring me earlier this week, I need help with this. Obviously, I don't need help in hosting the show because I got it. I can handle the production, but I need everybody's help in the ability to just get the word out there. So I'm going to be asking people to share this, but not just that. Anchor, the lovely organization that I host the audio version of this podcast through, has started this new thing to where you can help, similar to how Patreon works, right? You guys can support the creator. Now, I'm going to ask that you guys do it, but that money's not going to me. I could care less. I've got other ways I make money. But it's going to go to help other mental health organizations, as well as furthering the visibility and awareness around this show. So go and support it. I mean, $1 a month, $10 a month. You guys spend that on 2 cups of coffee. But this goes to help organizations who are working to spread the light in this world, that in a world that desperately needs it. And an added bonus: if you guys go in and you support the show, and then tell me where you are in the world, I don't care where, I will make sure that the money that you donate in, or the money that you support in, goes to help mental health organizations in your area. Not just I want it to be about helping the community, not just not helping me, because I got me. I need to get the world now. So let's help. So moving forward, I'm going to be promoting that because it needs to happen. That's the only way that we work this. It's the only way that we make our voices even more amplified than Audrey and I are right now. Because trust me, her and I can get pretty loud. It's been proven. Anyway.
Yes, I don't speak softly.
No, neither do we. Neither do I. And also, stay tuned over these next few weeks, as you guys are going to see a lot more of this black box on my wrist. I happen to partner with this amazing organization called Arrow. They've created this wonderful thing. It's a mental health tracker. I'm starting to create content around it because I want to help them gain visibility and help gain in support of changing and breaking the stigma around mental health. This fancy thing allows you to see your mental health throughout the course of the day by measuring your stress and anxiety. It's amazing. This is not a promo push for it, although they are going to be sponsoring, from the product perspective, sponsoring the show moving into next year. They don't know that yet, but sponsored by.
Surprise!
Surprise, guys. Because again, I'm helping organizations who are helping the world change. Anyways, we're getting ready to wrap up. Mom Funnies on Instagram, all that fun stuff. For Audrey, it has been. I'm going to end this show as I end every other piece of content that I put out there into the world. It's a little mantra that I like to recite, and then I'm going to put on a fucking t-shirt and sell and then donate all the money. Because that's just kind of become who I am. Anyways, it is be happy, number 1. Number 2 is have fun. Number 3 is hustle your ass off, because remember, nothing happens without work. But, and I repeat this with emphatic tones, there is no amount of hustle on the face of this planet that will bring happiness or fun into your world. So you have to have those 2 first. And it's really important, especially if you're a young hustler out there, an entrepreneur out there, a mom, a dad, just generally speaking, a human being. It's important that you take time to breathe. Even if you literally only once a day say the word breathe, it actually forces you to breathe. It's kind of a fun concept. It's so important. Anyways, guys, thank you for for everything. Thank you, Audrey, for joining me in this final episode of season 2. And we will be back in November with season 3. I'm so excited for what's coming next.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It was my honor. Until next time, my friends, have a great weekend, and look for everything on Sunday and some special stuff coming on Monday. Thanks, guys. Bye, Instagram. I'm going to end it over here and do a little fun screenshot thing here. All right. Facebook.
Okay.
And everybody else who sees this in the video form that's going to live in perpetuity. This show is just getting started. This mission has only just begun. I left a mental health rally in my hometown earlier this afternoon, and I left it feeling inspired beyond belief to amplify this message with every fiber in my being. And I have Audrey to thank for kind of pushing me up to step my game up when it comes to this show. So it was only fitting that I had her on as the last guest of this season.
Yes. And you told me a little bit about what you're up to, and it's very exciting. So absolutely. Look forward to seeing it.
It's on us, guys. Like I said earlier, there's no amount of legislation on the planet that will help mental health other than us and creating safety. And let's just do it. That's why I wear this bracelet on my wrist. Well, this one right here. It stands for being a light in the dark. I don't want to, the world's too dark. Let's all be light. We need it. Anyways, guys, we'll see you next month. In the meantime, thank you. Audrey, stick around.